top of the center. It disappeared for a second and then exploded behind a water tower, so I couldn't tell whether it hit the building or not. It was very visible that a plane had come in at a low altitude and appeared to crash into the World Trade Center.
The wealthiest businessman to have ever lived died almost a century ago. In today's video, we'll be looking at a business empire so vast that even after 100 years of technological progress, no man has managed to overtake its founder. This is the history of Stand 9 with the birth of John Rockefeller in upstate New York. He was the eldest son of a traveling merchant who identified himself as a botanic physician, but in reality was selling the 19th century equivalent of homeopathic medicine. He would spend weeks away from home and in fact would have several children with another woman, who he decided to bring back home to his wife so they could all live together. In this very confusing household, John would grow up learning how to hustle people for the best deal possible and how to get the most of the business world riled up. At the time, and still kind of today, most industrial goods were transported by rail, and many big industrialists got worried that John's abuse of transportation rebates could result in similar monopolization in their industries. Over the next decade, businessmen, politicians, and the media would attack Standard Oil with increasing ferocity. Legislators in Ohio began drafting antitrust regulations to bring down Rockefeller, but he was one step ahead. In 1882, he reincorporated in New Jersey, this time creating the Standard Oil Trust, which in turn held stakes in over 40 local companies. Then, to showcase his success, John built an impressive headquarters for his company on Broadway. This moment was the high point of Rockefeller's Standard Oil. He owned 20,000 oil wells, 4,000 miles of pipeline, and employed over 100,000 people. But his grip on the oil industry was loosening, both domestically and abroad. The Sherman Antitrust Act, which officially gave politicians the teeth to go after the Standard Oil Trust itself. Of course, the complex legal structure behind all the companies was very difficult to investigate, which is why the government couldn't actually break up Standard Oil until 1911. By that point, however, John Rockefeller had already cashed in and was no longer actively managing the company. In the final 20 years of his company's existence, it had paid out over $500 million in dividends.
Is the Rothschilds. You might have heard of them. In fact, you might have even gotten an uneasy feeling when you heard the name mentioned. The Rothschilds are a family of such significance that they have been tied to a number of conspiracy theories that have massive implications. Before I get into the wealth of this family, I'll try my best to explain the deep and dark conspiracies that surround the Rothschilds. Any conspiracy theory out there that presumes the governments of the world are controlled by a small group of individuals pretty much all point to the Rothschilds. These conspiracies warn that this one powerful family is behind the curtain, puppeteering massive changes in the culture of humanity. These changes include war, financial crisis, racial oppression, and much more.
It's the world's most well-known secret society. Rich with symbols and ritual, it's a source of legends, parodies.
Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the metric system down? We do. We do.
And conspiracy theories.
Because so much organized crime uses the Masonic secret system and the good old boy network to be able to get away with murder. And I mean murder.
Welcome to the world of Freemasons. Freemasons laid the cornerstone of America. Well, at least some of its most iconic structures. So what is Freemasonry? Simply put, it's the world's oldest and largest fraternity. Its membership a who's who of world history. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, Mozart, Davy Crockett, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Houdini, Gerald Ford, Henry Ford, John Wayne, even Colonel Sanders. If you want to be a Mason, you can petition a local lodge for membership. You'll need to demonstrate good character and belief in some sort of supreme being. Oh, and in almost all lodges, it's men only. Next, you're up for a vote, says New York State Grand Master James Sullivan.
The lodge votes to accept you, and then you have the 3 degrees that you go through.
Once you earn the 3rd degree, and yes, that's where the phrase comes from, you can join any number of Masonic offshoots. Take Brent Morris. He's a 33rd degree Mason and a historian at the House of the Temple for the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite of the Southern Jurisdiction. You know, it's that big building in Washington, D.C. This isn't like the Masonic Vatican, but it's an important building.
It's an important building. Absolutely right. It's one branch of Freemasonry in the United States, and that's our headquarters building.
Inside, the Temple Lodge room is a stunner. And downstairs, there's this.
This is the flag that Buzz Aldrin took to the moon with him.
This flag, Supreme Council 33 Southern Jurisdiction, went to the moon. Wow.
History will not give the Jewish people another chance.
Benjamin Netanyahu at war.
He is at war. He's under siege.
In conflict with the President of the United States.
It's not going to happen. Everybody knows it's not going to happen.
I've never seen a foreign leader speak to the president like that.
Outrageous. Outrageous. He is so convinced that he's right, equally so convinced that Obama is dead wrong.
From the battles that shaped him.
Palestinians were fed up, so everything unravels.
And boom, it explodes.
And his political rise.
The country's political system was superheated.
He was able to translate the horror of suicide bombers into political power.
An epic story of Israel, America, and the life of Benjamin Netanyahu.
This is